Hey, what's up, everyone? You are listening or watching the Tetsudo Mokei podcast. I'm your host, Kennedy. And today we are going to talk about the state of Plarail, part two. This one is a continuance of what I did earlier last year. And this time I'm going to talk about what a lot of Japanese netizens are discussing online, and that is the state of Plarail and where it is right now. Just a lot of opinions going on, and it all started on Twitter and various forums about why Plarail is not doing well right now. So a lot of people say, well, it's because of video games and the popularity of smartphones, YouTube, and a lot of things that are attracting a lot of children's uh, attention, and not just children, but the fact that in 2024, on the 65th anniversary of Plarail, the company hardly had any releases for the S line, just barely, just barely, a release, and they were mainly Arigato and Sayonara releases, but for the S line, barely anything. You did get your ES line, which are the cheaper, smaller Plarail, but those are usually targeted for children, so they're all wrapped with stickers and so forth. Those ones are targeted to children, and they're gonna sell because they feature a lot of cute, popular characters. With that being said, we are seeing just a significant slowdown of releases, with the exception of Plarail Real Class. And it seems that this is where Takara Tomy's focus has been, to the pleasure and also to the ire of train fans. So this is what the problem is. Plarail Real Class, of course, are the more expensive Plarail releases. More detail, just looks way better. It's a better product, but there's a problem. There's a catch, and the catch is that they're expensive. So when I started collecting Plarail World Class, it was the first four that were released were at the price point. Even though they said it was 70, about over 7,000 yen, they were on sale for 4,500 yen. But then every release after the four became like 66 or 6,700 yen, and barely would it go down in price. And that was a major concern for a lot of people who wanted to get Plarail World Class, were hoping, you know what, hopefully it would stay within maybe 3,000, 4,000 yen, but no, it's 7,700 yen or 7,000 yen, and it's competing against Engage, like a single Engage that Takara Tomy releases on their Tomix line, which is a lot better. So the question now relies, what the heck is going on with Takara Tomy and his Plarail releases? By the way, forgive me about the sound. My $4,000 Asus ROG is now it's something's wrong with the fan, so it's starting to churn right now. But if you hear that in the background, my apologies on that. But we're gonna go ahead and read some of these comments from Japanese netizens. I stopped purchasing Plarail at the end of last year and sold them all at this year's event. This is a retailer. Sales have been poor for the past 2 years, so I decided to stop selling them. The fan base, the main target group, and their parents, wholesalers, and retailers all have a negative opinion of Plarail. It's hard to defend. This is why Plarail sections are disappearing one after another from local stores. That's sad. I've mentioned a few times, but Plarail is the number one toy that parents and grandparents think will make boys happy if they buy it for them. However, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a toy that boys will actually be happy to receive. Um, there's some people who are sad because they have new trains in their hometown, but the timing is terrible because the Plarail uh, appears to have been discontinued. Looking at the current Plarail lineup, it's really biased towards East Japan, Shinkansen, and Limited Express. The first thing that kids are interested in is trains that run near their homes. So if those trains are on sale, they won't sell. I heard that Plarail hasn't been selling well since they released the Plarail Railway, which is the Plarail's original train releases. I'm not a big fan of it, but I noticed that they're not tapping into train companies as much as before, and I wonder if the licensing is becoming too expensive for Takara Tomy to release these. Obviously, Kato, they're getting licenses for Takara Tomy with their Tomix line, as with Kato, and releasing trains, Engage and HO. But for Plarail, perhaps the sales are not there. Again, there's a big competition right now of trying to get children's attention, and added to the fact that the birth rate in Japan is terrible, and there are less children in Japan. Who are they going to target? Who are the buyers? Who are buying Plarail Real Class? And it's usually the adults that are collecting, right? So there are some situations that no doubt is leading to this this downhill spiral. It's sad because 2023 was a positive, awesome year of Plarail releases, but then just everything changed in 2024. The S class is the main line, has always been the main line. This is trains. These are trains that people can get at such a inexpensive price. No longer the case, because now it's either Plarail Real Class or ES Line. ES Line are not regular trains anymore. They're kid trains. They are, cartoony characters. They are not, in 2013, they were releasing regular trains. They were testing with the Yamanote line and others, but all of a sudden, that went kaput. It's just, again, there's so much competition out there. For kids, there are more competitors making toy trains for kids. Uh, Trains who makes die-cast metal of trains. They're all competing with the Plarail line. And the way I feel is that the target of children purchasing Plarail has changed. I likened it to comic books. Back then, comic books were geared for children. Children would buy them. They were cheap. They were inexpensive, especially in the West. A comic book back then, 50 to 65 cents. But once they started going to $1.25, then to $3, and now almost a $15 for some, it's becoming so expensive that the primary audience is adults. And I think that when it comes to trains, it's a hobby that is usually shared among, adults, grown-ups, or people who, granted, it's all people of all ages. But the thing is that with Japan, with their weakening yen, and people having to watch their money of what they spend, and at the same time, Plarail or Takara Tomy increasing the prices. A lot of toy companies are, increasing their prices. Even the train model companies are increasing their prices. It's tough. It's tough. I totally understand it. So let's continue to read the forums here. If sales of Plarail trains are poor, I want them to replace them with local regular trains and resume the old regional expansion routes. In addition to the declining birth rate, the local trains are not as often made into Plarail trains as in rural areas. And even if they are discontinued after a few years. So I think they are a hard sell. The Chugoku and Shikoku regions are particularly unlucky. In the past year or so, it seems like the target audience has shifted to people in their 30s and above. A good example is the rare Yakumo 3-color Dango train, which seems to be selling quite well. That is true. They're targeting these trains that are for adults. You got the Plarail World Class, but again, the recent releases of trains are focusing on the adults. Like for example, let me bring it up here because I think this will make sense. Okay, we're gonna look at the last. I think you could say about the last 6 months or so with Plarail releases. Okay, you had one S release, S19, E657, the Hitachi Revival Color Train. It's shocking. That was pretty much it. Um, there really hasn't been any other S releases in 2024. Wait, there was also another S release. I think it was in possibly in August, October. Here it is. The Series 273 Yakumo. Let me see if we can get that image. There we go. So this is the Yakumo, and that was pretty much the S releases of 2024. Just this, and then the S19. But then what you got was the Sayonara train, the Yakumo Mixed Color Edition. And of course, because of the age of these trains, you know that it's mainly the people who rode on these trains from 1982 all the way to 2011. So this is more for people. These are targeted towards adults. They already know this was a given that their target audience now were the adults, and this was towards the end of 2024, the 60th anniversary. I'm sorry, not the been saying 65th, but the 60th anniversary for Takara Tomy, Plarail brand. Here we go with the Shinkansen N700S with a W chime. And then you got the Arigato series of the 381 Yakumo. And then you got the Arigato SL Hitoyoshi. And then you had the Plarail, like almost like the real class, the Tokyo Station Marunouchi building. So that's pretty much. Of course, you had the JR Kyushu Splat train. So if you love Splatoon, people were going to get that. But then you got the 65th anniversary. Well, why do I keep on saying 60th? The 65th anniversary, right? Yeah, it's the 65th anniversary. I was right about the Plarail. 65th anniversary, but it was the anniversary of here, I believe, for the Shinkansen. 1964. There you go. For the Zero series right here. But yeah. That is the state of Plarail that we're at right now. And I it's hard to say right now where things are going to go. No one really knows. I think there are some people think that the pricing of the Plarail World Class will definitely become a disaster for Takara Tomy, but um, don't know. We know Plarail Advance, which were Plarail style of trains in engaged size, did well for years, but Plarail class but it was released back in 2023 and now 2024 and 2025 now. So it has the power to keep on going, the potential that is to keep on going for numerous years. And I think it I think that the hard part about all this is again is the price. Even for me, I buy Plarail every release, but Plarail World Class, if it was at that 45 under 5,000 yen price point, to me that makes sense. It has the price has to make sense, and if it's nearly 7,000 yen, that doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't. And I think that is the fault of Takara Tomy's of their pricing. It's just how is it that you release four trains that Amazon was able to release under 5,000 yen, but then after that, it's been over 6,500 yen since then. So I think that's a very difficult. So let's continue to read the other comments on here. I feel like the lineup of trains at the electronic retailer in my neighborhood that sells Plarail, the lineup is getting smaller day by day. There are very few active trains compared to the original trains, Thomas and Shinkaryon. And that is true. Thomas will always be a big popular one, as well as Shinkaryon, which is from the anime, popular because of the anime series. The current Plarail slump is not just due to Plarail trains themselves; it's due to the spread of smartphones and video games, the lack of need to buy new rails. There are countless second-hand ones available due to the long history of the series. That is true. The polarization of the lineup, simple price increases, and failure to recover from the decline in demand due to people staying at home. My kids still play with Plarail, but the drop in sales may also be due to the sudden drop in the number of kids. Yep, we talked about that. I guess Plarail trains aren't selling well after all. Plarail isn't selling well. I don't understand why a mysterious fictional train is taking up the slots for permanently sold items. But I guess that's the way it goes when you consider the licensing fees. Again, I said that already. You're getting a lot of Plarail, original Plarail trains to make up, for having regular trains in the set. That was never the case before, but now it's the case now. If you buy a set, it's mostly likely going to feature a Plarail original rail. Um, the price of plastic is going up. Okay. You know what? America has said that. And, when action figures went from $3 to $8 to now, what, $24? That's just insane. I don't know if that's really due to plastic prices or corporate greed. It's hard to say. That's more of the West, not so much in Japan. I think if anything, the fact that companies such as Mattel with their Hot Wheels managed to keep those, still on, about $1.25, just a minor markup after decades of being 99 cents. That's incredible. Tomika, the same thing. Again, Takara Tomy had to increase its price. There's no way around that. It's just how things are in Japan right now. Things are very bad. Price of food, price of cheese, everything, everything you could think of has gone up in price in Japan. And it's a tough time with a weakening yen. Um, let's see here. Well, the mistake with Plaro was that they discontinued the existing trains and started selling them in that slot. It might have been different if they had sold them in separate slot like Vehicle, Kingdom, Boo Boo, Kankan, or sold them as a limited set. They can discontinue the existing trains. Well, that's tough because Takara Tomy has done that with Tomica and Plarail. Once they release something for 1 year, that number is going to get replaced by another train or another car. It's just how it is. Takara Tomy has also started selling Plarail World Class aimed at older demographics, an older demographic, but that demographic overlaps with model train enthusiasts. I'm sure there are people who'd rather buy model trains if they were the same price, so I would like to see it somehow develop into a product that is somewhere between Plarail and model trains. Man, there are just so many comments on this thread about this. I've heard that this is because there's no need to get permission from the railway company when using Plarail train logos or other things on everyday items. To be honest, the fictional Plarail kit cars are not commercialized, so there's a sense of romance in them, and it would be wrong to commercialize them. Another person, I think it was a foolish decision to discontinue all the Tokyo Metro Plarail trains. It's a shame for kids that all the Tokyo Metro trains are being discontinued. You know, I saw that trend happening in 2023 with the Metro trains. They were sold and then were shortly, and then all of a sudden, I started seeing prices going up, and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? And so I went as a person who rides a lot of Tokyo Metro. I just started getting the I started getting just various trains I could find on Plarail, and hopefully getting them cheap. I do know that the set with the what is that? Let me get the name of it right now. Oh, the Hansamon line. That's it. There was a set released, and I had to get that. And I'm glad I did, because that one shot up to almost 9,000 yen. Um, even if you buy an expensive video game, it doesn't take up much space. But if you buy a lot of Plarail, it does take up space. And the trend towards saving space is clearly gaining momentum now. So maybe it's no longer the time to do superficial measures like where we'll clutch Plarail and 381 mixed colors, or Plarail World Class. I think it's to each their own on that. But the thing is yes, Japan is a place where small rooms are, you can't just have a Plarail diorama, right? Because that takes about what, 3 or 4 tatami mats. It's just not feasible for a lot of people, especially if you're a student or someone living in a smaller apartment or so. I think the Plarail Railway would probably be accepted by kids who lose interest in trains around the kindergarten age, but I don't think it would be accepted by kids who don't have an interest in trains at all. Okay, but half of the Plarail products that have been talked about recently are refurbished products from the past, and the other half are more like the Omachi trains than a vehicle. And the island platform train isn't even a vehicle. Considering this, I think the Plarail itself has gotten better. The Plarail fictional trains are causing quite a stir. I understand that some people don't like the idea of it being the best that they can imagine, but I also understand that some people think that that's what's good about it. If there's a demand for it, I think it's fine. Plarail takes up a lot of space and costs a fair amount of money if you want to put together to play with properly. Recently, Daiso released a mini train series, so I think parents are turning to that. I don't think that being fictional is a bad thing, but there's no background story. It will just become a train you don't know. Thomas is fictional, but there's a video work and you can see him running. So I think that makes you think, I want that Plarail. I think, as always, any animated tie-in helps a lot in the sales of any toy. I don't think fictional trains have much to do with it. Tomica has fictional cars, and Dream Tomica is popular. I think the reason Plarail isn't selling is because of the declining birth rate. And I also think it's because Japanese homes today are just way too small. Another person wrote, Plarail trains will only sell if they are based on the original works like Shinkarion and Thomas. That's not necessarily true. I know that they sell a lot of those. And yes, that's true that when people get older, they buy Engage or HO trains. But there is a convenience that I see with Plarail. For one, they were always to be seen, even though if they were seen as inferior to Engage, because they were not the same type of trains, where Engage or HO or anything, anything around that price point, you can control, you can move forward, reverse, and you had your trains. You could set up your diorama, build it to make a city, make it a forest, make it a whatever you want. With Plarail, that's not always the case. You got trains with blue tracks. Granted, if you get the Plarail World Class, and you get something that looks a little bit more realistic. Let's see, what else did people write? I saw that the reason why Plarail sales have dropped is because JR and others made Plarail trains to avoid licensing. But isn't just that a few children that are getting to touch them? What? I don't think I've seen JR make its own Plarail. I've seen many other third-party companies. Let's see here. Okay. The Plarail Railway used to be limited to complaints from train enthusiasts, but now that complaints are coming from retailers too, it feels like things are finally getting serious. Let's see here. I thought that the Plarail was and will continue to be a still stable product for all time. Hey, look, it's lasted since the 50s, right? 65 years. That's a very long time. And as far as I'm concerned, the Plarail brand will continue for, you know, more generations, more years to come. I wouldn't be surprised if you get a 100th anniversary 40 years from now. But the thing is that, yeah, there are just so many factors that could lead to, why kids are interested in trains. In the West, with the U.S., it's a given. Not many people who enjoy trains will have model train sets, but the majority of people, they don't care about trains because they don't ride trains. They're mainly cars. And if people do buy cars, they'll buy Hot Wheels or model or RC cars. Those are big things right now. And they're continuing to be big things right now. But and they're way cheaper. They're way, I mean, die-cast metal. Come on, they're just way too cheap, inexpensive. That is for people compared to these. Again, Plarail is about U.S. ranges from $18 to $30, and the Plarail World Class 7,700 yen. That's about what? About $50 or so. That's expensive. Let's see here. Plarail trains are unpopular after all. From a parent's point of view, they say that because they are not region specific, there is an advantage that children can play with them as train toys no matter where they live. But from a child's point of view, they want to play with real trains that they are familiar with. That is true. Part of the criticism that Plarail Advance got was there were too many East Tokyo trains that were featured and less trains from other areas. My feeling is if Plarail World Class is going to take off, they are going to have to incorporate trains from different lines. It's just something that I feel it's necessary. It's the same thing as what you do with the S line, trains from various regions. That's very necessary. So you can attract people uh, who rode or are familiar with those trains in their area. Another person wrote, I think the reason why Plarail trains aren't selling well is because they're simply not popular, because they're targeted at children. There aren't that many children in Japan, but children who like Plarail trains are also accepting Plarail trains favorably. Yeah, I mean the thing is that if you are born and raised of enjoying trains and you have parents who enjoy trains, more than likely the kids will enjoy trains. But in terms of just buying a gift, again, I see more people being influenced by YouTube and TikTok. So there's just it's a whole different kind of. There's so many things that captivates kids' attention these days, from being athletes, from becoming video game or YouTube stars. Video game in terms of becoming part of an esports, group. I don't know, man. Um, let's see here. God, there's so many pages here. A lot of people passionate about the discussion, but um, I heard that Plarail was well received, but that's not the case. Takara Tomy seems to be launching various new lines and doing some trial and error market research. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. In the midst of the recent wave of price hikes, Plarail's Plarail Railway series has not only increased its prices, but has even reduced the number they release, making a price setting that is very consumer friendly, which is very pleasing. Um, in a Plarail lineup that's already dominated by Kanto trains, if they were to if they were to abolish the few Shikoku and Kyushu trains and replace them with some incomprehensible fictional trains, it's no wonder that people are drifting away. Okay. Um, and it just keeps on going and going. There's just hundreds of posts here. This is just my amateur opinion, but rather than increasing the number of Plarail trains, wouldn't it be better to revive the existing trains that were discontinued and sell them as train sets? Mm, possibly. Mm. I was surprised that Plarail is not growing. I guess correctly that the cause is mostly Platetsu. As expected, kids who are budding train nerds want real trains more than fictional trains. That's true. I only buy trains that I've ridden on or have familiarity with. No way am I buying a train that's fake. That's not real. I admire the creativity. I think I did do a few. I think maybe one or two Plarail originals, but that's about it. I think the sharp decline in sales is due to widespread reuse of Plarail on Mercari and other sites. I actually bought a half my belongings on Mercari, and I think I'll end up selling them on Mercari because it would be a waste to throw them away. I think that in the future, experiences and purchases that are linked together, such as buying Hello Kitty Plarail on the Hello Kitty Shinkansen, or buying Plarail at a Plarail Expo, will become more prominent. Um, I don't know. I really don't know. Plarail is a good fit for the secondhand market where children can pass it on to someone else after they graduate from it. It's probably difficult to keep buying new ones because of the robustness of the product. Maybe it's just a matter of the declining birth rate. I think it's a great toy that encourages thinking about how the rails are combined. The mysterious rise of Plarail Railway's original trains and S item series normal single trains, the recent cheapening of scenery parts and all in one sets, uh, Real Class and the Plarail brand realistic line for adults are a major factor in the slump in sales. Okay, let's see here. Mm, that's true. Scenery parts they don't make as much anymore. Mm, I don't think that when it comes to real class, I think it's a solid lineup. I absolutely love Plarail real class. I just don't like the price. Let's see here. Yeah, there is just so much um, that I'm reading here from various people. It just goes on and on and on and on. And I could keep on talking about this about the state of Plarail, but I think you're getting the gist of what people are, how they are feeling. Um, I don't know how can you fix this personally. Hmm. I agree that if they should have kept on making the trains of numerous trains in ES format. Um, if pricing was a consideration, I as long as the trains can ride on the tracks, um, I don't know if there's I don't know. It's just it's a complicated situation. Um, it was necessary to have price increases because of the cost of plastic, and of course, everything in Japan is going up. We understand that. We understand that there are less children because of the declining birth rate. We do understand that, but how do you come up with a solution? And that's really tough. Will Narita Express or Yamanote Line be popular with someone who lives in southern Japan? Probably not, and vice versa. Again, you'll always find people who are buyers of Shinkanyon and Thomas. You'll always have the adult fans who will be interested in the Arigato or the Sayonara series. But my gosh, it's sad. It's sad because I love Plaro. I love trains. I love Engage. My Kato, my Tomix releases. It's just the thing is that with Plaro, this was a great chance for people to obtain trains at such a wonderful price. But it seems that that's going to change. And the only thing we can do is whether or not you support it. Um, just I know that Takara Tomy is reading. They're reading. They're watching. They're knowing how people feel right now. I'm sure they see it on social media. So the thing is just it's not a tough. It's not an easy thing right now. Lego, they'll always be popular, even though they. But the problem is they're facing the same thing with the increased pricing. They become very expensive. But the thing is what Lego does really well is it has many licenses that they take advantage of. They can do that. Takara Tomy, they have things with Sanrio, Rilakuma, Crayon Shinchan, Doraemon, but does that interest you? So I think this is just things to think about, and I don't know. I don't know if there's any way to bounce back from it. Would love to see more S releases, but at the same time, if there are not that many buyers, I can understand focusing on Plaro World Class for the adults. But I do feel that the price point needs to come down quite a bit. Instead of 7,700, remove 2,000 yen from that, 5,000 yen. I think that is quite appropriate for the real class. But again, it is what it is. Um, But yeah, okay, everyone, you all take care, and I will see you later. Wink, wink, and